guy presents ideas you don't like, then refute them. That's really what it comes down to, because he's putting his ideas out there. He wants people to hear about it. And I don't think the answer is to shun him, because then he does grow. Then he does, what is that, the Streisand effect, I believe? Isn't that it? Come to Leeds, Devin. The weather's fine. Leeds is... Okay, here we go.
No, they're not white. I mean,
that is Dick 7, and this is all rubbish. We need this.
And the National Policy Institute.
Okay, I will now show you the intro that I'm reacting to, which is an insight into Richard and his mind.
The National Policy Institute. We got music inspired by the 1980s coming with a little synth.
We're calling that Dick 8.
Who are you?
You're a guy creepily standing still like a sociopath as everybody walks by you is who you are.
Dick 9. And then after I finish this audio, I'm going to come back to the chat and we're going to chat. You can ask me questions or make comments, make observations. You could just say things like, I love lamp, just whatever.
I'm not talking about your name or your occupation. I'm talking about something bigger, something deeper.
A Depeche Mode fan?
Dick 10.
I'm talking about your connection to a culture, a history, a destiny.
Already this reminds me of Mugatu from Zoolander trying to hypnotize me.
And we'll cut to the Mugatu clip there, but we'll do that later. Obviously.
An identity that stretches backwards and...
Something greater than myself, Richard? Can I be a part of this collective, even though I didn't really do anything or earn, or even though I had nothing to do with it? even though I didn't really, even though I didn't, collective, even though,
What just rang? I think my phone just rang. Hold on. Oh, so I got a new chess video out. Great.
even though I had nothing to do with anything they accomplished. Sounds like a nice team, though. Can I be part of that tribe? Sounds like a nice team, though. Can I be? Sounds like a nice team, though. Can I be a part of that tribe? Do I get to live in that castle?
We go dick. And we broke it. We broke it. I'm sorry about that. I have bugs. $52 views. You believe that shit? 4 likes. We're back.
Flows forwards for centuries. An identity you can glimpse in the face of a grandparent or a child. An identity you know through experience, through people, through places, through music. Our ancestors had a strong sense of their identities.
Well, I will mention at this point that he loves King Arthur. He loves that sword. Now, I don't know if I don't want to. Now, I don't want to be the one to break it to him that never happened. This is fiction. But what he is glossing over, which doesn't seem to be a minor point, is the fractioning off of peoples, regardless of race, into nationalities, into countries. So there are differences between the race. So there are differences between white people that are of huge significance that he will diminish and say, it doesn't matter. On some level, that's true. I've lived in all these. I've lived in many countries. I've lived where there are white people. It doesn't erase the fact that there are gaping differences. For example, I've lived in Budapest. They're white. They don't speak English at all. They have a really different culture over there. They're doing their own thing. It's notable. And it's a massive point that cannot be ignored. Because let's say I'm living in Germany or Budapest or whatever, and I see an American, but the American is Asian or black or Mexicano. I am going to have way more in common with that American than any Budapestarian, even though my skin color looks more like the guy from Hungary. So, what is that? What does that mean? It means that cultural connections could just as easily be a starting point for forming a new tribe. But Richard doesn't want that. So he chooses to ignore the differences in culture when we talk about white groups of people. And he's also ignoring the bonds that we have as Americans, say, or as British people, culturally, that transcend race. This to me seems counterproductive. And I'm willing to grant him many points when it comes to race. But his fundamental concern is to divide and brush over the fact that white people white people from different countries have almost next to nothing in common with each other, while people of all races within a certain culture have a ton in common and can get along and can coexist. Again, I'm not ignorant of the stats. I'm willing to listen to arguments, but you should be aware that but you should be aware of what he's saying right now. But you should be aware of what his main drive is.
Are we going Dick 13? Mm-hmm.
They could say, I'm a Roman, a Saxon, a Dane. Some could say, I'm a European.
Yeah, and right after they said that, they would kill each other. I'm a Viking. Interesting. I'm a British person. Okay, I'm going to kill you now. Cool.
Yeah, so that's essentially the point. He's trying to create an ahistorical view of a group that doesn't exist, the group of white people. I mean, it is an abstract idea, but in reality, there are white people who belong to certain ethnic groups, certain countries, and those countries have long-standing major cultural differences that matter and that literally divide them. So, you know, you can't just walk over to Scandinavia and be like, hey, Norwegians and Swedes and Finnish people, you're all one because you look alike. No, it doesn't work like that. So he's trying to make something out of nothing. He's making that up. Now, if we're in the project of just pretending and making up new groups, why not make a new group that means something and it's not based off just nothing? I mean, white is nothing. It's like, if you just say, let's form a group of white people, it's like, okay, but there are some shit white people. Why do we want them in our group? Yeah, but don't worry, they're white. Let them in. No, fuck those meth heads. You know what I'm saying? So why be this basic with the way you're forming your group? It doesn't make sense to me. Now, Alf Benny in the chat, what's up? Hello, hello. Have you seen Spider-Man 2 yet? Or Spider-Man for a second time yet? That would be the question. Happy New Year's, yes, yes, yes. Devin Spacey, that I take as an insult. You're calling me a gay sexual predator? I don't know. Is this just going to be an hour-long diatribe on the greatness of civic nationalism? Civic nationalism. No. Who's talking about that? I frown upon that. I actually talk about that later. Diatribe is an attempted insult. It's actually insightful commentary. You cunt. I've attracted almost 99,000 people who want to hear what I have to say. How many do you have? Size doesn't always matter unless we're talking dicks, and my dick is bigger than yours. So I come with that degree of confidence. Devin should do a talk with Mike. Fuck no. Fucking dead-eyed, shark-eyed motherfucker. Hell to the fucking no. That dude is a freaking vortex of anger and just spurgery. There's not a single part of me that wants anything to do with Mike Enoch. Fuck him. I'd rather, I don't know, go to museums and find, I don't know, just travel the world going to brony cons. How about that? Spencer is such a dingus. Okay, so that's a Peruvian who's attempting to tap into his Peruvian heritage, and he wishes that the Peruvians accomplish more than stacking up a bunch of rocks. But although they did innovate llama fucking, so we have to give them credit where credit is due. I'm Celtic. These tribes still exist. Exactly. Go ask the Irish or the Welsh what they think about white people. They're like, I'm Irish. Oh, really? So it's just you are united with people of Belfast? No, fuck the people of Belfast. Okay. Sorry.
To be exiled from their communities and identities would be a fate worse than death. Today, we seem to have no idea who we are. We're rootless. We've become wanderers.
So again, there's the grain of truth. If he's primarily talking to white people in America, to say that they're rootless and they don't have an identity, that is partially true. And it really brings into question another weird tension that we're, another uncomfortable tension that we're experiencing, which is, does it even make sense to be so nationalistic? So if I'm a white person in America, do I really think my identity is I'm an American? Is that what's important? So if I go up to Canada and people are like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, well, I'm an American. So, that's what's going on. I'm different than you. I'm American. There's almost no difference. What does that mean? It's like a side note. I'm an American. Because it almost means nothing, it should not be at the forefront of your identity. And I think Richard would agree with that. But instead of nationalism, he just put in race. He just put in race. I mean, when I'm living in Germany or Australia or Budapest or England, I'm not sitting there going, hey, I'm an American, so let's talk about that, or let's focus on, no, get over it. Be something that's, get over it. Be something that's universal. I'm a YouTuber. Oh yeah, well, which nationality of a YouTuber? It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm a human being. Yeah, well, which part of the world are you from? Like, what's your tribe? Don't worry about it. I'm not saying deny the tribal impulse. I'm saying we need to pick better tribes. Tribes that are based on something nice, good, useful, productive. Because I agree people want to be bigger than, because I agree people do want to be a part of something that's larger than themselves. And if it's not going to be your nation, if you're not going to be out there rah-rahing the USA like it's a gold medal ceremony at the Olympics, what are you a part of? What is your bigger group? A sports team? Really? That's what it's about? I don't think so. I mean, come to think of it, for as trivial as you might initially think, fandoms answer this question. So if you're a fan of Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse, that's a group that you're a part of, that's bigger than you. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, same thing. You're connected to a large group of people. You're attached to something that matters, that has importance to you. It might not be the be-all, end-all, but it is a way to answer the question of what group do you choose to be a part of? And maybe that's the answer right there. Your choice. Race is biologically determined. You don't have a choice. Who do you choose? Who do you choose to associate with, and why? That engages your decision, your agency, engages your agency, and your decision-making process. It's not impressive. It's not impressive to say, hey, my family is my family. Okay, great. Yeah, well, my parents and my brother and sister, what about it? You didn't do any of it. You didn't do anything. You didn't choose that. What's more impressive about you is the friends you've selected. your partner, the fact that your partner chose you. That says something about your character, not just your skin, not just your genetic lottery abilities.
Really happy with the way I formulated my thoughts on this. I think the message is pretty concise and tight.
Perhaps we'll also become seekers. We're often told that being an American, or a Briton, or a German, or any other European nationality is about being dedicated to a collection of abstractions and buzzwords: democracy, freedom, tolerance, multiculturalism.
Wait, the communist flag is there? Are we clear that that flag is there? Are we clear that that's bad? Or is that just being thrown in there like, here's something white people did?
Dick 16.
So he just, very subtle what you just did there, Richard. He just threw in multiculturalism with freedom, democracy, and tolerance. As if all of these things are equally meaningless. So he throws this picture up, which obviously is a staged photo for a stock photography site. And this sort of concept, this multiculturalism, is a lie. It's essentially a lie. But it is our perceived goal. This is good. The more we can get like this, the better. Now, this never occurs outside of stock photography shoots, and only in very small pockets. But to throw out with the bathwater freedom? Excuse me, Richard? Freedom is good. You might want to put a new sentence on that. We like freedom, period. Oh yeah, too much multiculturalism for the sake of multiculturalism is a little bit false and bogus. Is a little bit forced, culturalism is a little bit forced and bogus. And it also turns a blind eye to the fact that these people of color, half the time, they don't want to be among white people. That is the overwhelming message that many of them send to us. So if you're gonna shove this image, so if you're gonna shove this image down our throats, as in, hey, white people, have your life look more like this, send the same image to them. You don't, because you're hypocritical and condescending. So, once again, freedom is good. Democracy is incredible. It was very subtle that Richard is not in favor, ultimately, of democracy. And he's willing to put that on record. He'll tell you that. And tolerance? Tolerance is bad? What?
Dick 17.
But a nation based on...
Isn't that the escalator that Trump went down?
freedom is just another place to go shopping.
So freedom equates to shopping at a mall. That's the essence of the word freedom and what freedom means. Freedom of speech, yeah, whatever. I mean, freedom to have a fair trial, it's irrelevant. It's a buzzword, means nothing.
Dick 19.
It's a country for everyone, and thus a country for no one.
It's a country for everyone, a country for no one. Well, again, he stumbles onto a grain of truth, which is, if we're going to have a tribe and call it a nation, that nation does have to mean something. It has to have principles. It has to have rules. It has to have some sort of shared connection, otherwise, it does mean nothing. Now, when you're in a nation, you're forced to play by the rules that are ingrained structurally into the nation, into the laws, into the law. You can't just do shit. Like if you try to honor kill your wife here, you're going to jail for murder. You're not going to be let off by a Sharia court. That's because you're in America. But his point is correct in the sense that unless you define that, unless you safeguard against what that is, to be American, then it will be lost and there will be some shift. Now, one of the things I would highlight here is what he just dismissed as being irrelevant, freedom. So to be American means you believe in free speech. What have we seen happen from the tech giants and from social media? We've seen that they don't give a shit about free speech. I think Richard Spencer was on record for saying he doesn't care about free speech, which is odd because he uses that, his right to say unsavory things, all the time. And if he were not in America, he would be put in jail for some of the things he says. So it's weird that he benefits from this principle and yet is willing to scrap it once he has power.
All right. That's going to be Dick 20. I'm feeling comfortable saying Dick so much. And I pop into the chat. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Spencer is not my enemy because he's a goofy dude that isn't even slightly threatening. Right. I just mentioned when Richard gets power, he's not going to get power. People like him are not going to get power. Which anybody sort of, we know that. You should know that. But Richard is playing a slow game. He knows he's not expecting change tomorrow. He referenced it. He was talking about gay marriage. And he said, if you ask someone about gay marriage in 1990, they'd laugh in your face. Ask him in 95, less people would laugh. 2005, less. 2015, around there, it's legal. So he's looking for long-term change, and he's trying to push the parameters of what we're allowed to talk about, and he's trying to use ideas to influence people's minds. Which is his right, and so slow incremental change is possible. So even if Alf is correct in saying he's ridiculous now, maybe the offspring of a Richard Spencer, someone who has been influenced by Richard Spencer, some guy in 10, 20 years, is not going to be so much of a joke. And that's what you have to be aware of. Kelly Noodle, what's going on? Jesus, Alf, tap the brakes. Hey, Kelly, I love you. The fuck? That escalated quick. Lord have mercy. Oh, hi, Alf. Happy New Year. Love you. Oh, my God. It worked? This is getting heated. I didn't feel sorry for him, but I still think that dude was wrong to strike him. Yeah, of course it's wrong to punch him. Democracy is not shit because of multiculturalism. That's a retarded statement, yes. Y'all should seriously Google Richard Spencer Hitchens atheism, or even Richard Spencer Carl Schmitt. He knows how irrational his big ideas are. His thoughts on race are like religion to him. Yeah, it means something to him. I mean, he's fully committed to the project, and it gives him meaning, even though it's largely a fabricated entity. Not race. Race is real, but his idea of what that means. I mean, he talks about the new Roman Empire. I mean, does somebody have to sit him down and say there's not going to be a new Roman Empire or something like it? I mean, and the idea that the Roman Empire was some race-based ethno-state is very odd as well. Riddle me this. Is it intrinsically wrong for an indigenous people, any indigenous people, to desire to remain dominant majority within their ancestral homelands? Is it intrinsically wrong? Well, there's many people that would say, yes, it is intrinsically wrong. They would say that's an old way of thinking, that's limiting, that's non-tolerant, it's too homogenous, it's too narrow-minded. Yeah, they would say that. Of course, they wouldn't say it to like a Native American tribe. So, you know, they're not going to criticize the Cherokee reservation, be like, you're too Cherokee on this bitch. So you'd run into problems if you're trying to compare that to white people and say, we have ancestral homelands. That's a stretch because they don't consider that. Like even the people in Germany wouldn't agree to that. The people in France definitely wouldn't agree to that. Things change. So you can't just sit there and say, well, it used to be a bunch of white people here. Okay, well, it isn't anymore. And never in the original foundation of the countries, I guess you're not looking to foundational documents of nation states to justify your position here, but it doesn't say this is a white place, like, and you got to be white to be here. It's just, it's a real shallow look at things. It's really, I just don't think it's the future. And so you could still go to white places. I mean, there are white places, but it's not going to be legislated. It's not going to be, I mean, I'm the first to tell you, I go and hang out in white places. I'm in Denver right now. I'm going to be back in Germany. I was living in Australia. Like, these are white. It's not an accident. But to then be like, no, and it needs to be officially, legally white. Let's get all that. What is that about? I just don't get that. Do you know what it was like before we had so much multiculturalism? We still going back and forth politically. It wasn't one-sided affair. Latino love, Devin. Yeah, exactly. The Latins are pretty awesome, man. He could always go to Iceland, though. Yeah, it's too expensive there. But it is an option. All right, where are we at?
It's a country in...
Why is there a garbage dump here? Is that a scene from Ragnarok?
which we ourselves have become strong.
Is that Rocky Balboa?
Rocky Balboa was a famous ethnostater. He wanted Philadelphia to be white, and he was very pissed that it wasn't even close.
Rangers. Man doesn't live and man doesn't die for abstractions like freedom.
Again, he hates freedom. Abstractions. No, it's pretty real. It has a real world application. I mean, you don't even have to go far. Go to Germany and find out how free you are to express yourself in Germany, and then come to America. It's a massive difference. And people literally do die for that freedom. And people literally do die for freedom. Do you have any understanding of the history of American wars? This is why people signed up for World War II.
Man lives and dies for a homeland, for a people and its future.
Look at that Americana, cowboy, smoking Marlboros.
For beauty, for the power.
That's a beautiful white woman. Oh, Richard, you propagandist.
Of being part of something bigger than oneself.
The power of being part of something bigger than yourself. So really, the whole thing is an exercise of uplifting yourself to a fabricated state of being in which you feel inflated, important, better than just you. No, this is uber you. You're not just you. You're a freaking white soldier for the new... You're a white soldier for the new Roman Empire. You're a white soldier for the new Roman Empire. It's grandiose, and it seems to me like an obvious fake shortcut to supplanting meaning in your life. It's a facade. If you want to have importance, be something, be a part of something real, not doctored. For example, do you know who will not be responding to a video like this? In other words, a video like this will not work on someone in the following position. Let's say you are a digital effects supervisor on Game of Thrones. Okay, that's your job. You are right now a compositor, and you're doing work in After Effects. So you get a bunch of footage, and you're putting effects on it, like dragons and smoke and blood splatter and all this stuff. And you're going frame by frame, and you're working on this final season of Game of Thrones. And you're part of a team. You work at an office. There's office parties. There's premiere parties. You're proud to talk about this to everyone you know. Your wife brags about this. Hey, what does your husband do? Oh, he does effects for Game of Thrones. Have you heard of the show? The show is bigger than you. You are a part of something bigger than you. A person like that doesn't need to invent things. Their life is a testament to the fact that they have meaning and that they're a part of something that gives them a sense of importance or power, as he puts it. And this is a far superior model than this sort of fantasy role-playing that I see white nationalists do. Which is like, he'll show footage of Neil Armstrong on the moon. And by the way, I have done that too, tongue-in-cheek, when people forget what white people have done. But I'm not losing track of the fact that I'm not Neil Armstrong, and I'm not a part of NASA. By the way, NASA is incredibly white. Did you see that Mars landing? That could have been a National Policy Institute meetup. A few less Heil Hitlers, of course, but it's a lot of white people. But the people of NASA should be proud that they are part of NASA. They're part of something big.
Hello? Hi, no thanks. Housekeeping.
They are part of NASA. They're part of something bigger than themselves. Regardless of their race, happen to be mostly white. I should not be proud of being a part of NASA because I'm not. I mean, I could have a very minor sense of pride that I'm American and NASA is American, I guess, but really that's pathetic. They've been doing their shit forever. I have nothing to do with it, and I should be acutely aware of that.
Dick 26.
I mean, basically,
Who are we? We aren't just white. White is a checkbox on a census form.
it's the white version of we was kings. It's we was astronauts. It's like, no, yous wasn't. You have never set foot on the moon. Moon is white too, but white too, by the way. What is Alan? Wait, 0.9% of America is Alan? I had no idea that name was so popular.
We are part of the people's history, spirit, and civilization.
See there, the Wright brothers and Neil Armstrong right there. That was Buzz Aldrin. I get a clue.
of Europe. This legacy stands before us as a gift and as a challenge.
The sword and the stone, pull out the stone, pull out the sword, Richard. King Richard.
What our ancestors took for granted, we must discover and we must renew. Some might say that our task is impossible.
This music sounds like the music for an introduction to Scientology. I love it. Richard is so funny, though. The way he's all dressed up and he's just... I mean, he's Ralph Fiennes, man. He's from Schindler's List. I would love to hear Richard say, "I pardon you." Oh, snap! He removed the I am and thus created a new world. And thus created a new word, possible. Whoa. That just blew my mind. Was that the Challenger? Let's not have that be the Challenger. Let's not have that be the Challenger. Let's not have that be the Challenger.
But nothing necessary is impossible.
Okay, if we're gonna be doing a hype, if we're gonna be doing a hype up white people montage, it's gonna take a montage. Can we not include naked dudes with small dicks? That kills my buzz. I want to be part of something that's larger than me, and that dude's dick is not. It's not large at all. I don't want to be a part of that dick. In fact, the statue of David, was it cold when he sculpted that? I mean, is David a shower? Is David a grower and not a shower? Please tell me that's true. I mean, who does that? Who just brings out a sword and shield and wears some Trojan hat and has his dick out? What the fuck?
So long as we avoid and deny our identity, at a time when every other people is reasserting its own, we will have no...
The Muslims, the Jews, what are we? Are we the Christians? See, once again, pick a tribe. Pick a better tribe. Let's not divvy up into religious groups. That's the old way. That's backward. That's backward. That's backwards. Let's be better than that. For example, let's not be religious. Atheism. That's a good thing. If you want to join us, be our guest. And that goes to Muslims or who are now ex-Muslims. That goes to Jews who are completely reformed. And who do not believe in any of it. Welcome. You're now part of a new tribe, the tribe of non-stupid people, the tribe of non-crazy people, the tribe of people living in the tribe of people living The tribe of people living in reality. What color is your skin? I don't give a fuck. What matters to me is that you're not an idiot. I am happy to be a part of that tribe. That tribe is something that is meaningful and important, and it is bigger than me. And all races are welcome in that tribe.
Chance to resist our dispossession, to find another horizon.
Yeah, I think the up-close eyeball shots is overused in fake inspirational videos like this. It's not that interesting.
So who are we? I guess the real question is, are we ready to become who we are?
I joked earlier saying we was kings. He ends with King Arthur. We was kings. We are the people that's going to pull the sword from the stone and then pose with our little dicks with a shield. I don't have a little dick. I can't even pretend to have a little. When it's limp, it's not impressive. I will go that far. It looks like, no, okay, I'm not even going to go down. Abort. Become who you are, Arthur, King of the Britons. You know, if we wanted to get really woo-woo on this, let's read that backwards. Are you who become? Oh, that was a Neil deGrasse Tysonism. Oh God, the flames rise. What is that call to action? Rise, what? Was I kneeling? What's happening? Rise up? Rise and be white and be part of the whites. I mean, this is a little bit loose, Richard. It's a little bit amorphous. Now, I know the guy is speaking in abstractions and generalities, and he doesn't really have a concrete plan of action. It's more of just a concept. He just wants you to be proud and in touch with your history and identify intentionally, above and beyond anything else, identify as being white. That is somehow important to him. And you notice that he tries to define what it is to be white, but that isn't true. There's nothing inherent about being white that comes with certain attributes or goals, or, I mean, it just doesn't exist. There are differences between white people. I mean, if you're starting some white group, you're telling me you want all the white people just to sign want all the white people just to sign. You're telling me you want all the white. You're telling me you want all the white people just to sign up? No, you don't. There's millions of fucking idiotic white people who are doing nothing good and who are just terrible, classless human beings. We don't want them. So the second you determine, well, name the trait in the white person that if present in a non-white person, you'd want them in your group. Okay, how about this? They're smart enough to be an atheist. great. Okay, how about this? They're non-criminal in nature. They live and let live. They abide by the golden rule. Okay, great. Okay, okay, cool. Those are two traits. So why are we limiting ourselves? You're telling me you don't want the Argentinian, the Brazilian, the Nigerian who exhibits those things, but because they look different, then they're out? No. That doesn't make sense. That's caveman mentality. And we need to take a step closer. We need to take a step closer to Star Trek and not to Clan of the Cave Bear. Although I wish Daryl Hannah was around because I would fuck her. I'm sorry, that was totally inappropriate. Complete. I did like her in Splash. In fact, I will go on record. I would fuck her from Clan of the Cave Bear all the way to Kill Bill. And potentially the future. So I'm on record. Okay, she's invited to my ethnostate in my bed. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you're enjoying your new year. I've tried to offer you insight, honesty, brutal honesty, brutal honesty, my opinions, my sense of humor, a little bit of music, a little bit of ambiance, some visuals to stimulate you, a freaking outro that I made. That I made from scratch for no fucking reason other than to please you. It's 99 Luftballon. 99 Luftballon. Right? German. That's going to please Richard. Sung in the original German. It's part of our white cultural heritage, don't you know? But if you're not white, please enjoy it as well. And if you enjoy me, then support the channel. The links are in the description. I appreciate you. And I'll talk to you again later. Bye.
Okay. What do we have here? We're getting more Asians here and I like it. Yeah, well, he's talking about South Africa. How are you going to justify civic nationalism? Yeah, well, there's some real issues there that need to be unearthed. They try. I mean, there are political parties there that absolutely try to say being South African means something. It's not race-based. And they're butting heads with people who are tribal, literally tribal. It's not even the Zulus. The Zulus are a tribe, but they're the ones that defending the whites. They're like, don't take the fucking farms from the whites. Are you kidding me? So you have communists there. You have other ideologies competing and other groups that are trying to take power. And it's ugly. It's an ugly scene. The dream was that South Africa could be a rainbow nation. It could be more. It could be people of different colors and racial backgrounds living together. You know, other places have done that more successfully. Israel, for example. The Jews of Israel have a unifying factor. They're Jewish, but there are other things that separate them. The Ashkenazi versus the what is it? What is that word? Is it? Hold on, it's on the tip of my brain. Saphir? No. Fuck, I don't know. Google it. Anyway, like the ones from Yemen and Middle East and all that versus the Europeans. Sephardic, Safari, Sassafras. So yeah, you know, they've made it work to varying degrees though. So like you talk about the Muslim population of Israel, you know, go and ask the Israelis, how do they coexist? How do they assimilate? You'll find that some of them do, but you know, obviously you can't just open the borders and have the Palestinians come in and expect to be like, well, now this is the new definition of what it is to be Israeli. It means that you could be Muslim or Jewish or whatever, and you could have genocidal hatred towards one group of people. No, you're going to run into some problems there. So things are changing, things are evolving. People are reassessing these things for the first time. You grow up, you just think, I'm an American, I'm a British person. I assume that's good to be that. What does it mean to be that? I don't know. Ask my teacher, ask my parents. I don't know. Do I have to think about this? Yes, you do. You have to think about it. Because if you don't, it's going to shift and it's going to change. And things aren't good as they are. I mean, things need to change. That's the other thing. Devin, come to Leeds. So random. It's unbelievably random. Why? Immigrants are improving where I live. Well, that's more of a testament to the fucking scum of New Jersey than anything else. To be fair, if I was Latino, then I wouldn't take much pride in my ancestry either. Oh, Peter Parker, Peter Peterson, Peter Pepper picked a peck of picker peppers. Talking shit to this Latin American right here. This guy. Look at him. He's even above him. Superiority. That's structural racism there. Look at that. Alf is small, though. So Peter Peterson is probably bigger. But messed up. Well, what do you mean you wouldn't take pride? I mean, first of all, you could take pride. There's tons of great things in people. I mean, if you want to compare, then you're entering a world of hurt because, yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow. Like, oh, my group of people didn't do as well as another group. Okay. It's like you could look at the monks back in Britain or Ireland. They were living in sewage. They were not exactly, not every chapter of history. It's like not everybody is Albert Einstein or Ben Franklin. You know what I'm saying? Like we come from street hustlers and Jack the Ripper and, just ugly, bad teethed, ignorant motherfuckers. If you want to go all the way back, we come from cavemen. We come from Neanderthals. I mean, what are we this desperate to find an identity? To find pride? Why are we even undergoing the process of inserting pride from people who are not you into you? That's a real weird move. It's real weird. The whole thing is a self-worth crisis. You have no self-esteem. You have no internal mechanism that tells you that you have value. This is a problem. This will manifest. You will freak out. You will lash out. You will seek to drag others down. You know what I'm saying? This is an issue. Bangkok's a pretty amazing city, makes US cities look like shit. What? Bangkok is a fucking one night in Bangkok. Bangkok is a congested, third world, smelly den of debauchery, drugs, rampant poverty, a shit economy, and sex trafficking. But I guess if you're into that, John Kevin, then yeah, it's a great city. It's weird how uncreative East Asians are, though. You think? Have you not seen the video game industry or anime or uncreative? I wouldn't say that. They have a thriving art scene. Yoko Ono, mic drop. Devin, say hi to Christian. Who's Christian? Christians or Christian? Literally everyone is in groups. There's no need to build an ideology around the two. Okay, well, you can group people, but if people choose to be in a group, I mean, even look at it this way. If you're born in a country, you didn't decide to be in that country. So why are you even a part of that nation? Why is that your identity? You just happen to be there. Unless you moved, unless you said, no, I busted my ass and I had to pay a bunch of money and like jump through a million hoops to be a member of this group. And why? I have reasons. So you have to be more proactive and like take a positive position on why you're in the groups you're in. Don't just be like, well, I'm a man. Oh, really? Well, that's really fascinating. What did you do? Like, why did you choose to be a man? I didn't. Unless you're trans, of course, but we won't get into that. Please ban me. Wow. Look at that. It wants attention so bad. Me personally, I love sex. I fuck everything. Fuck out all the time. If you people haven't achieved as much as others, then it's up to you to change that. Right. These are all shortcuts. People want to have something they didn't earn. That's what we're watching. We're convinced by idiots like Jordan Peterson that we should only think as individuals. Every other race has a racial consciousness, but it's bad when we do it. I disagree with that. It can be bad when you do it. It's the way in which you do it. You know, for example, you could fall into the trap of you could be proud of who you are, of where your family comes from, of your people, your racial group. Be proud of that. All the cultural achievements, all the technological achievements, historical victories, all that. Sure, be proud of that. But does that also mean you have to be negative towards other groups? It's easy to say that. A lot of people they think it's mutually exclusive. Like if I'm into my group, that means I'm against other groups. But it doesn't have to be like that at all. Why are you bothered if people insult Latinos, though? Why are you saying because they're not technically human? I could see that point. Just kidding. Funny how these guys talk about being proud of white history, but never bring up communist Russia and Italy or fascist Germany. So Alf is trying to throw shade at white people now. The history of communism. First of all, Russia deserves an asterisk. Russia is fucking Russia. Okay, don't try to put Russian history on the Western world. Russia's fucked up for a million reasons. Italy had a chapter of fascism. Okay, they've also had a million positive contributions to world history. And fascist Germany, yeah, that was a small, like 10-year period of time in German history where, once again, what was wrong with the Nazis of Germany is it's not the German people's fault. It's the hierarchy of the Nazi party. And really, the moral issue that people even have with that is the killing that they did during that war, and it's their policies, the Holocaust in particular, but killing of diseased people, old people, torture, medical experiments, shit like that. I mean, but that is a very select group of people. So if your argument is, well, yeah, fuck white people, why? Because there's a few people in a political party in a one country for one period of time that did things that were bad. It doesn't really hold much, But people like to just say, oh, the Nazis. Hey, before you white people start thinking you're so great, remember the Nazis. They were great dressers, and they did wonders for the economy. Hitler was a vegetarian who loved his dogs. End of story. People have no substance, so they have to find a group of substance to be part of, thinking it will give them substance by transitive property. Yes, there's a very facile, sound like Reza Aslan, transparent and facile psychological game at play, and it is, the transitive property. Neil Armstrong went to the moon. Neil Armstrong was white. I went to the moon. I'm white. There's a couple of the steps in there, but yeah, you get the point. Let us think about all the awesome Latino societies, such as no, there aren't any. What do you mean, Argentina? I mean, this guy Peter Parker has not been to Argentina. That's a fantastic Latin American society, as is Brazil. Now, you could say that it's partly because of the European influence, and you'd have a great point. But that's stupid, Elaine, and incredibly paranoid. What did Elaine say? Head back. Where are we at, Elaine? Eli? Who's Elaine? I'm not seeing it. Where's Elaine, dude? What the fuck? Alf is talking to fictional people. That's scary. Yeah, I'm not talking about them. We talk about that all the time. Saudi Arabia. Did you low-key take that Sixers pick I threw at you? No, I did not randomly place a bet on the 76ers. No. No, thanks, Ender. I think for myself, Alf is engaged in racial warfare with some of the more white nationalistic-y people in here. Nazism and white communism both outperformed non-white nations at the time. Yeah, I mean, if you're not judging on moral standards, but on like economic, although communism was not an economic winner, unless you talk to Hassan Piker about it. So what? Who gives a shit? Uh-oh, he's putting on his Mayan war paint now. The Incan pride coming out. Devin, thoughts on Manchester's New Year's Eve? What happened? Oh, there was a stabbing? Yeah, you know my thoughts. I hope it got coverage. I hope it's duly noted, put on all the suicide or the terrorism lists. It's fucked up, man. It's crazy. Manchester's great. I was just there. I was just living there. It's a really sweet town. The fact that they have to deal with that. Elf, are you proud of yourself and your life? Oh my god. I hope so. But does that mean you never made any poor choices along the way? You don't negate healthy self-esteem because you have made mistakes. Right. Not shade at white people. Shade at people trying to take other accomplishments for their own. Uh-huh. What? Nowhere people. That's the guy's name. That has nothing to do with me. What? Devin is nowhere near fascist. Who called me fascist? I'm a fascist? Huh? Russia helped in World War. They deserved a little credit. Oh, yeah. World War II, but he kept the cap locks on. So he said World War at. That's a tragic mistake. Yes, they did. They're the ones that liberated half these death camps. You know, they fucked a bunch of German women, like daughters and shit. Argentina is white as fuck. Peter Parker is dumb, but he is alliterated. Oh my, let's see, look at this. We got a little race war in here. Fascism is stoppable, atheism is unstoppable, misspelled. Did you see the Spider-Verse? I did. And that is, are you a current virgin or you were once a virgin, as we all were? And Devin is a kafir. Israeli Jews used it to get their homeland. Because what do they do? They used what to get their homeland? You want a homeland? I mean, half the white people who are paranoid, they should just go to Europe. I don't even think they've been to Europe. Go out to small town in Germany. You're not going to be worried about the encroaching hordes of people of color. I was just at a Starbucks in Boulder, Colorado, and there was literally no black people. It was like 40 white people. And there was music playing and like pixie dust in the air, and obviously it was amazing. But, you know, there are a few good countries in South America, yes. And there are other things to discuss. It's not just like other countries are on different scale, different timelines in terms of historical development. And there's reasons for the corruption, the sort of structural problems that these nations have in terms of their expectation level. Like, why is the second world the second world? Why? It's always been. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like these places were amazing and then they dropped off. They started at a lower point, a point of less functionality to begin with. So what was happening in Colombia 300 years ago was not the equivalent of what was happening in England 300 years ago, if you catch my drift. Alf is the smart version of a brown person. Oh, that's a compliment. But it's also like a hidden insult. Billy Bong in the house. What is worse for Manchester, Vindicator or Islamic terrorists? Yeah, if only those two could meet. If only they could meet up. Hans Landa. Hans Landa. Why do I didn't recognize that name? Was that a Nazi war criminal? Hans Zimmer was the guy who did The Lion King. Hans Landa. Is that the guy from Inglourious Basterds? Okay, if you think that when people are proud of their family and their country and their race that somehow are insecure and have no other things to be proud, you might be mentally challenged. Well, there's a balance. I mean, you can't deny that there are people who are proud of these things because they have nothing going on in their life. So that does exist. There is a balance you can strike where you have an appropriate amount of good feelings about where you come from, and you also have your own shit put together. I mean, we know that there are losers out there, man. There are losers looking for something. Peru and Ecuador are decent. Look at that. He's beating his chest with decency. I dance with women at clubs. Nice. And then they sort of shuffle away from you and head for the exits. There's a lot of hot blondes in Peru too, Jorge, depending on where you go. Israel is a Jewish ethno-state. Nice. It's like a nice little blurted out statement. And now I think it is time for me to think about food. Maybe some Uber Eats, Uber Alles. Devin, I've been extremely curious as to know how you can afford to travel the world. Big fan of the show, but the question is always in the back of my mind. I don't think we've heard you talk about it. Um, well, I'm a YouTuber and I make money on YouTube, and then I spend that money on plane tickets and room and board and food, which I'm about to do. So that's how that works. Those are the basic fundamentals of it. I'm not living in high-rise penthouses in Abu Dhabi, if that's what you're suggesting. Um, you know, I don't spend money on toys. I don't have a car. I buy a plane ticket every once in a while. That's about it. Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, Chile. What do these countries have in common? Good salsa? Hot women? I don't know. You guys are just in a heated fucking battle. The safest countries in the world all have white majorities, with the exception of Japan, which also has a high IQ, racially homogenous population. Yeah. But what's your point? You just like that fact? You're like, I like to say that because I'm white. Yeah, it's true. Does anybody want to argue that? I mean, the only obvious next step would be why. Why is that the case? And you suggested high IQ and homogeneity, which you have a point. You have a point there. Low testosterone levels, yes. Also, functional societies. So, a high standard of living, a high happiness index is going to lead to, a safe environment. I agree. You have a point. I live in an 80% Latino city, and I will bet you that I can find white majority cities with more violent crimes in the U.S. Oh God, Alf is still crusading to find a man bites dog scenario here. More violent crimes than Union City, Jersey. That's white majority. Nothing jumps to mind. Yeah, I mean, there's some ghettos out there, but an entire ghetto city of white people. It's doubtful, and it doesn't even matter either. I mean, if you take a look at the numbers on a whole, you're gonna see, people will try to shift the conversation to it's not about race, it's about economic status. But it gets a little fishy. They basically try to. I mean, if you actually burrow down, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse for their behavior, but also it still correlates. Like poor people of color and poor white people, they don't commit crimes at the same level. Crimes is a big one, because it's fundamental to the project of coexistence. If you are going to commit crimes, it's like, this is not working. Fuck this. There's sharks in the water. Have a good meal, handsome. Okay, I will try. How do you stay so positive all the time? Well, it has been pointed out to me that sometimes I'm negative, but we're all sometimes negative, so no big deal. Whatever. Positive all the time, it's a choice. It is a choice. It is a default setting. My girlfriend says the same thing about me. How much do you want to bet? And how will we transfer money? I already found 10 cities. Alf Benny is on a crusade to find white people who have fucked up because he's not happy with the amount of white pride in the chat. And he is here to diminish us and to tell us that we suck. I'm back. Are you comparing non-white cities in America to those of South America ones, Alf? Non-white cities in America to those of South America. No, he's saying my city versus white majority U.S. cities. Okay, let's see if he can come up with one. Latin crime versus white crime it's not that close. Latins commit way more crime, but not as much as blacks. But I mean, yeah, if your point is there are white people who commit crime and are fucking up, yeah, you can find them. I could show you mass murderers. I could show you drug addicts. I could show you, just rapists, whatever. But we're not like if once you leave the per capita discussion, then you're just trying to get a false point. You're just trying to say like, look, I found a time when a white person wasn't good, and it's like everybody grants that. So I don't know what. It's more of an emotional point. He's trying to just you know, drop the guy down a peg, basically, to say, look, chill out. You're not so great. Alf's a super mod. White Nazis equal rocket engineering. White commies equal space travel. That's true. Rocket engineering was the Nazis. Well, I mean, I'm sure they were trying to do military stuff. I mean, you could say the Germans did a bunch of that shit. Albert Einstein was German. Space travel, white capitalist equals moon landing. Yeah. At what point can genes be as valuable, if not more, than ideology? At what point can genes be as valuable? I see what you're saying. You're saying communists did shit, Nazis did shit, capitalists did shit. It wasn't the ideology, it was the whiteness. I mean, yeah, nobody's denying that white people have a certain efficiency, a certain IQ that is going to, over time, lead to impressive accomplishments. That is true. But what do you do with that information? Do you bully Alf Benny, this poor migrant? What is he? Incan. What do they call those? The dudes that help you up the mountain? Chirpa. No, not Chirpa. What the fuck is the name of that? He's like a I don't know what he is. My point is that it is regional and dependent on the people. I live in the most densely populated city in the U.S. and it's 80% Latino and has incredibly low violent crime. There's a reason for that, and that is something to look into. Well, low violent crime. I don't know. I don't know what you're comparing that to. Are you comparing it to New York or like the worst crime cities in? Like it's not going to have less crime than Portland, for example. Western civilization depends on white people. Alf Benny. West Virginia has some of the poorest white counties, and they have low crime rates. Why does it work in my city and not others? Thoughts on Indian food? Random. I love it. Actually, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll get some. AIU, any chance can consider, is Alf abusing wrench status? Why? He's not banning people. Feel he's abusing the institutional power you've bestowed upon him. Well, he was a minority hire. I looked at him and I said, is he capable of being a mod? Clearly not. But is he brown and will it help? It looks good. The optics look good to have him as a mod. And come to Atlanta, Georgia. I think you'd be in good company. Atlanta, Georgia. Isn't that Wakanda? Mexicans suck. Mexicans have high crime. Okay, so that's inter-Latin conflict there. Ecuadorians in the U.S. have low crime. Yeah. All right, this is fun and can go on forever, and I shall not let that be the case.